Hi! Welcome back to Furniture Flipping Rush. Today's girl is a bookcase with a small desk. She has this broken foot that needs repairing and has thick varnish drip marks all over her body. It's like tears she cried and left behind from a last makeover. I don't like these metal rings that was used with each screw that's visible on the outside. She deserves much better jewelry. The varnish also managed its way into the drawer, making her feel ugly from the inside. I always give a warm soapy bath to every piece that I work with to wash away the past so that the paint can stick to a clean surface and not to the dirt. I also found this chewing gum someone disrespected her with. And far in the back, I find her treasure and dreams she collected over the years. No need for them anymore. She will soon display her treasure and dreams on the outside. I removed the screws to take the old handles off, but the varnish was painted on so thick it did not budge. So I used a heat gun. The heat gun helps to make the varnish flexible. To fix her foot, I operate with a drill making holes, so that the epoxy cannot easily be bumped off at some point. I mix half and half, then press some epoxy into the holes I made. The skewer stick helps me to get a perfect shape. Moving on to removing those ugly protruding metal rings. and make a countersink hole instead to hide the screw heads. And then fill each hole with wood filler. The next day the epoxy is all dried, so I further shape it with sanding paper and a sanding block. On this day of filming, it was raining in Cape Town and it was very cold, so I did not want to go outside and do sanding. To level the wood filler, I used a wet cloth and wiped the excess away, making no dust inside. This poor girl is covered in a very thick varnish. It's like someone just poured the can of varnish all over her. She has so many drip marks all over her, and because it was a cold day, I did not feel like sanding for hours outside. I decided I'll scrape them off with a blade instead. I use a box cutter's blade. If you don't know where to find one, there should be spare ones inside your box cutter. This is of course if you don't have a paint scraper on hand like myself. After I remove all the drip marks, I scuff sand her entire body to make sure the new paint sticks to her. I'm going to use a stencil on the inside of the backboard. I remove the backboard so that I can do this with ease. With the backboard attached, it will be difficult to get into the corners with the stencil and to get a cohesive pattern all along the back. I gently use a hammer to knock a flathead screwdriver in at each staple, then gently pry it open. Because of all the staples used at each level of the shelves, I use a rubber mallet to further loosen the backboard. I go ahead and remove all the excess varnish from the shelves, where the backboard was attached to it. I take out all the staples. Then use a paint scraper to remove excess varnish and paint where the shelves met with the backboard. Using the box cutter blade, I scrape off any varnish drip marks to get an even finish for the stencil pattern. I chose gold for the underlying color for the stencil and spray a thin even layer. While the first layer of gold dried, I put wood filler in the old handle holes of the drawer. At this stage I was not sure what handles I was going to use, so I closed them up in case I had to drill holes in a different place. I really like the look of the one-step paint recipe I used in my previous video, so I decided I'll use it again. I will be mixing this grey paint I had on hand with this matte top coat and a primer. And yes, that is a gravy spoon. How else do you transfer the paint to the measuring cup? I guess the paint is the gravy of this project after all. By the way, my husband hates it when I use kitchen utensils for my projects. I'll be hearing it after he watches this video. I mix equal parts of the paint together. Make sure the paint is either all water-based or all oil-based. You cannot mix oil and water together. I use a combination of brush and roller to paint. I always apply my layers thin to ensure quick drying time and an even finish. I apply my second coat of gold on the backboard. After my first layer of paint dried, I decided this color is not going to work. I mean, it's the same color as the wall. How will a stage her if she's just going to blend in with the wall? I decided I'll make my own charcoal color using a black acrylic paint with the grey paint and the top coat and omitting the primer. I added the black acrylic paint in small quantities until I achieved my desired color, mixing it with my soup spoon. That's what I'm talking about. Isn't that better? I applied 3 thin layers of the charcoal color. Now for my favorite part. I find the middle of the board. The idea is to start in the middle so that the pattern of the stencil will be more balanced on either side. Whereas, if you start on one end, the pattern might not end at the same point and it will look unbalanced from the front. My brain always gravitates to symmetry. You'll never get this 100% right, as the furniture piece can also be slightly skewed, but you can try, right? I use a stippling brush and cardboard to minimize the bleed through of the paint. I'm using a gorgeous duck egg blue to complement the gold. I'll leave all the products I use in the description for you. For best results with a stencil and to minimize chances of bleed through, you don't want a brush that's too wet with paint. I use the cardboard to take off the excess paint. I use a hairdryer to dry the paint before placing the stencil onto the previous pattern to save time. I want to use this opportunity to say thanks to everyone watching, liking, commenting, sharing, and for supporting this channel by subscribing. You all make it possible for me to express myself like this. I would love to hear where you are from. Please leave your location in the comments. I also wash my stencil in between each time I use it to minimize bleed through. And dry it off with a paper towel. When I'm done, I fix any bleed through using an artist brush. I sanded the drawer to freshen it up on all sides. Initially I was not going to seal the back board, but then I thought if I bought her, I would want it to be sealed for better cleaning, and besides, only the best for her. I used the same blue inside of the drawer to make her feel beautiful from the inside again. Here is a tip for you. When you have ink on a piece bleeding through the paint, use clear nail varnish before your next coat. For the front of the drawer, I used a lighter grey to create contrast. Now for new treasure. I used the same top coat I mixed into the paint to seal the desk surface because it's a high traffic area for some extra protection. The coat goes on cloudy and dries clear. I did 2 coats in total. When no one else is around to hold the backboard in place for you, use nails at the level you need it. I secure the board with a nail at the top and then fasten the back all around. Like builders say, now I make good, using wood filler, filling in all the old staple holes. And also paint the back to freshen it up. If you wondered why I'm wearing a bandage, I burnt my forearms with boiling water while pushing down a plunger to make coffee. The spout was facing me and a bubble trapped under the lid exploded straight onto me. My left arm burnt more. Luckily, my thick jersey protected my chest. It feels like the time I burnt my leg on a motorbike exhaust. I'm just glad it did not explode into my face. Accidents happen so fast. Enough about me. Let's look at the before the revealing rush. The idea is to sell her as a coffee station. Thanks for staying until the end. If you got any value out of this video, please like it so that other awesome people like you can also find it. Let me know your thoughts of this transformation and if you have any questions. See you next time. Bye!